Hi guys, Togo here with a new video, and this video is a reflection on Soloq Rbg, which is Battleground Blitz. After playing multitude of games on the pre-patch, but also did before in Season 4 and also did play on the beta as well, I have now a good conclusion, a good grasp on Soloq Rbg. I want to give my truthful opinion about it because I do want Blizzard to get it better and to make it better and also just be a mainstay for PvP and be the most successful PvP bracket, which in my eyes right now it might be, but I don't think it can last in the duration, I would say, as well as like 3v3 arenas, because they still need to buff, I would say, Soloq Rbg with a lot of aspects. So I'm going to give you first the negatives, and then I'm going to talk about the positives, and then I'm going to talk map per map, my opinion about the map and what they could fix a certain dynamic to that map, for example. Or if the map is perfect, I will not talk about it. So, or I will talk about it, but I will not talk negatively about it. So, my first problem I have with Soloq Rbg right now is that they need to find a solution for levers and a solution for AFKers and more harsh punishment. It's kind of disgraceful, but it's an 8 versus 8 matchup, which if someone leaves, the game is pretty much over. If two people leave, it's like GG's. Like it has no point. I did already win like a 6 versus 8, but again, it depends on the moment of the that it occurs, and also people are not always that good because the MMR ranges are very like they have some variety and some distancing because of the queue times being stat fast. They don't want to have like too much disparity between, they want to have as much disparity as needed to get the queue times being like very fast, which is a good thing because I want to be able to play very fast, but it makes that the gameplay is not always like perfect. And one game you will feel like it's a perfect Soloq Rbg match where it's very tight and it can go like for your team or for the enemy team, or there could be also Soloq Rbg where literally it's one-sided and your team or the team versus you is going to regardless win, regardless of the situation. But for levers, the issue is the punishment is way too low, so I reckon that it will happen a lot of time, and it already happened multitude of time on the pre-patch. So again, nothing is on the line on pre-patch, obviously, but I do feel like they need to have harsher punishments. I also feel like they should be. It's very tough because again, it will be wrongfully used, and you cannot really protect the players that are already in the Soloq Rbg because then you will have abuse, right? You will like have some people that are win trading, or some people that are going to say, look, I'm going to take the L, you get no points deducted, but I will leave for you, and I will just take a punishment, and that's it. And that's something that they need to work on, and a solution that they need to fix and to find, because I feel like that could be very frustrating outside of Season 1. I think Season 1 is truly going to be a very popular season for Soloq Rbg, like Soul Shuffle had, and I still think it will be a very popular, like regardless outside of Season 1. But I do feel like they need to find a solution for that. I think MMR wise, it's okay to let it be a fast grind, and then at one point you will have like a bit of a harder time to climb. Now it will always depend on the average MMR and what the MMR system wants to achieve with the quotations. So for example, if World of Warcraft, Blizzard, or MMR decides that 1800 is the average MMR for the average gamer on World of Warcraft, then everyone will be pushed around 1800. What I think it will be around 1500, maybe sometimes 1600. And then you also have inflation, which can be pushed upside. But I think they still need to refine it and find a good solution towards the grind. At one point, it can be slower, and it has nothing to do with your win loss. It just is like at one point it will be slower to gain rating. So it has to be worth and to be mentioned that a match is between 8 to 12 minutes, depending on is if it's a stomp or if it's a very tight match. So you don't really want them to get only 10 CR for uh, like 12 minutes of gameplay. It's too long, and the expectation is that you have 50% win rate. So imagine if you have like 12-minute matches and you win and you lose and you win and you lose and you gain only 10 or 12 CR for that amount of time. It does feel a bit bad. But I think that can be fixed with MMR, with inflation, and how it will work. Again, pre-patch is a bit like tough to know. I do feel like you kind of need to know also at what MMR you are personally, because you have your enemy team MMR and you have your team MMR. Whenever you're going to open the tab or the scoreboard, right? It would be nice to know what your MMR is, so you can actually see, look, there is progress whenever you're going to win, because CR is not that important. CR is just a vehicle for what you're doing in game, right? So if you're losing, you're going to normally lose CR, and if you're winning, you're going to gain CR. But the MMR is actually telling the system how fast it is to gain or lose MMR CR depending on your MMR, right? So they need to let us know what MMR you are. They could do at the scoreboard, like in Soul Shuffle, or they could even do that in a tab, like PvP tab. To be fair, they could do that as well. So I think that's a big problem to me, because I do like to know where I'm standing. And also, since I have it for Soul Shuffle, I also wanted to have it in Soloq Rbg. So those are my main complaints for Soloq Rbg. And for many people, they're going to probably say that it is really little or really insignificant. And I agree. I think that is not enough to say I'm not going to play Soloq Rbg, especially since I'm a very much a fan of Soloq Rbg. I really like the format. I like the fast paced. I like the fact that it is objective gameplay, which in my eyes, if you want to do an esport or if you want to do like something competitive, often it will be about a objective and not only a deathmatch. Even in CS:GO, like now CS2 or Valorant, you can win by eliminating the enemy team, which is fair. But you could also win just by planting the bomb and defending the bomb, for example, or defending the sites until you have no time left, right? So, and in Call of Duty, it's like search and destroy, for example, or whatever game mode they're playing. And multiple games have that. Like in League of Legends, you have to destroy the Nexus. And it doesn't matter if you have killed someone 50 times. If you don't destroy the Nexus, you're not going to win. So I like the objectives. I like to have the flags. I like to have like a domination map. I like the fact that there are like cards. I like that. So positives. I like the format 8 versus 8. I think that should be the normal format for random BGs now. I think that 10v10 game modes should be kind of become legacy game modes, kind of, so you can prepare the new wave to PvP onto Soloq Rbg. So, for example, if you're like in quick match, if you want to train for Soloq Rbg, it is not possible anymore. You are going to play random BGs, but random BG doesn't have the same dynamic as Soloq Rbg. So now you have like a situation where the casual player that wants to train for Soloq Rbg has to either grief kinda your own team until you know how to play, or you have to be like super talented and whatever. It doesn't really matter. You're just going to jump in and do good. Those are the two solutions. I would like to have a situation where random BGs become actually random Soloq Rbg kinda, where the Battleground Blitz gameplay becomes norm, and I know random BGs, the format should become like a legacy format in my eyes, and you could then like form like a big queue with random epic BGs. So you have random epic BGs and you have your random normal BGs kind of in one queue, and then you have like the random solo QRBG or random battleground blitz, which is the normal format. That would be nice. But yeah, I think 8 versus 8 is fantastic. I like that. I also like that you only play tank versus tank, and you don't have like a team that has a tank and a team that doesn't have a tank, for example. I like that it's fast paced and that you can actually say, look, I have only like 12 minutes of time, and you know that it will be done in 12 minutes. So that's also great. I like that there is like a kind of a time limit, although it's not really written. It feels like it because again, the games are that fast paced that the games are going to finish regardless of time or not. So I like that. I also like the dynamic of having 2 healers versus 2 healers, which often the best case scenario is the healers are going to split up and try to help multiple sides of the battlefield. And worst case scenario, you have a healer actually defending a node which doesn't need to be defended. Then it feels very bad. But that's gameplay. That's something that can be learned through playing, and it will be like natural selection where MMR is going to be pushing down for them, and for us, if you're like very consistent, it's going to push up. So obviously, it's always going to be a bit feeling helpless at times, where you feel like you're losing a game that you should not be losing. But it is what it is at the end of the day. It's always going to be like this in PvP, at least in team format PvP, where you cannot really like solo carry every single game. It's very difficult. At least on certain classes, it's very difficult. Now, let's talk about maps. I'm more specific, and I want to talk about the maps that are for Soloq Rbg. So obviously, I'm not going to talk about AV or whatever. I'm going to talk about all the maps and what I find about them. Warsong Gulch, I think that's a map that needs nothing to be changed. I think the flag maps are very, very good. It's also very fun to have like flag maps without a tank. And if you did play like normal RBGs, where you always had like one tank on each team, and you had to hope, look, you have a Guardian Druid, you have recruited a Guardian Druid or a Vengeance Demon Hunter, and you're going to obviously face also a Guardian Druid or a Vengeance Demon Hunter. Like there will always be one tank. But here with Warsong Gulch not having a tank makes it that it's interesting to flag carry as a mage, or interesting to flag carry as a feral druid, or interesting to flag carry as a shaman, or as a warrior, or as a DK. That's very cool. So I like that. I like that they actually opened it up before the pre-patch and before the beta, and like in season 4 they made that only tanks could get like the flag maps, and if you didn't have a tank you could not have a flag map. They changed that with feedback, which is fantastic. So again, Blizzard try to always change and look for community feedback, so it will become even better. Arati Basin, no, I will also talk about Twin Peaks because it's the same. Those two maps are fantastic. I do feel like Alliance side is more favored for Twin Peaks because you can knock people off the edges. Whenever you're going to go up, you can always knock people out. So it does feel like Alliance is more favored on Twin Peaks, like the side of Alliance at least. But again, it really depends. Like I think Horde side, it's easier to defend, kinda, once you're inside. And it's also easier to go out. While with Alliance, if you go out often or not, it's very hard to come back in. Anyways, again, I do feel like those two maps are like the least of the worries I have for Soloq Rbg, and it's always going to be very welcome to me to get that pop. Those two maps are like fantastic for me. Arati Basin, I think Arati Basin we have a problem where I think having 5 bases at all times kind of sucks for a lot of obvious reasons. Now I understand why they did that, because imagine if you're like capping, imagine you only have 3 bases active at all times, and you're going to cap, for example, the 3 first bases would be farm, stables, and then be a blacksmith, which would be logical to have a start like that. and you cap like let's say 2 and the other one caps 1. And imagine, since it's a randomizer, it's not going to be like saying, look, we're not taking only the bases that are not taken, because it's 3 bases, right? So you have 5 bases. So obviously there is one base that is going to probably be the same, or if it's a randomizer, it's going to be probably 2 bases that are already taken again. So imagine if you're going to stables and blacksmith and it gets back to stables and blacksmith and you already have capped it, it will be easier to recap it because you already are present. So I understand why they did that. Every single base is active at all times. It makes that you have to rotate constantly. It makes that you have to fight like on the zones itself and not in the middle, or for example on the roads, because if you're fighting on the roads, often you're going to lose a lot of precious seconds or minutes even, because if you're capping, it's like again a huge timer that is not going to be able to cap it back. So but I do feel like the dynamic would be a bit better if it was like 3 bases or 4 bases instead of 5. Now it's difficult, I know. I don't think they're going to change that. There's like one thing I have like as a worry for Arati Basin, and more likely as Deepwind Gorge, which is also a problem. Deepwind Gorge I think is more of a problem than Arati Basin, because the zones are like very flat, right? You don't really have a lot of elevation. While Arati Basin, you have elevation towards your lumber mill or towards your mine, for example. Even blacksmith, you have some elevation as well. So you have like a dynamic like that. For me, Arati Basin is not a problem. I think Deepwind Gorge is more of a problem than Arati Basin, but I understand the frustration that some people may have. So for me, they could probably make either the map smaller, which is not going to be an option probably for the art team. They could easily do only 3 bases at all times, and that's it. But the issue is, again, 3 bases, it's tough, because if it's always going to rotate, it's a randomizer, it could be like a very lucky randomizer for you, and that's it. It's already GG's, and it's going to be done for you as a team. So I understand the concerns, I understand that opinion, but I think it's very hard to change or to accommodate. Now, Eye of the Storm is also a problem map. I like the map, I like the idea, but it is not really well executed. The thing is, the flag is a bait. You often don't want to play flag, or if you want to play flag, it's to keep the flag so you do not change bases until you know that you can change bases. So what is the meta on Eye of the Storm is basically to go for the bases, and you only send like 2 guys on the mid. If they send more, then it's pretty much GG's, you get like 2 bases. And if you get 2 bases, they can't really cap the flag anyways. So what you could change for that is that you can cap the flag anywhere. That would be the change. So if you want to say, look, the bases are important, you want to give a weapon to the other team that it can actually like dictate whenever they're going to change the maps. So my solution would be, the map can be reclaimed or capped on every single node. So if Mage Tower is like, for example, taken by the Alliance, and Blood Elf Tower is taken by the Alliance as well, and you are the Horde, you're going to be able to take the flag and put it on Fel Reaver or on Draenei, or you can even say on Blood Elf or Mage Tower. So you have always a mechanic where you can come back in the game because you swapped the bases. I still think that the 2 nodes being open at any time and then swapping every time you're going to cap is probably the best way to do so, because then you will create more aggressive gameplay. Remember, if you have more bases, it means more defense, and if you're like 8 versus 8, it means like 2 persons defending at all times, and I would even say 3 person, because you will need to have someone that is going to like run between the bases. I still think that is not the solution for the map. I think the map having only like 2 bases, So one base on the one side and one base open on the other side, and swapping every single time you're going to cap the flag. That is going to be a great gameplay. I still think the flag needs a bit more work, a bit more help to be attractive and to be able to be a comeback mechanic. Don't make it a capping points mechanic, but more like a comeback mechanic. If you have two bases, more likely you're not going to get the flag. If you have two bases and a flag, you kind of deserve to win. It doesn't really matter, it's a stomp. But if you have two bases and you're disregarding the map, the flag should be a mechanic for the opposing team to be able to come back in the game by capping the flag to swap the bases and to dictate a bit more movement to the enemy team to actually like keep their lead, right? And again, if they get like again two bases, then you know it's a stomp. But if they are going to swap the dynamic to a point where you can actually come back, it means that the game is going to be set back to a point where you can actually win the game as the opposing team. So I do want to see that. I don't know if they're going to be capable to do so, but I think the flag should be a mechanic to come back into the game or to assert dominance. For example, if you have two bases and you have a flag, well, it's GG's, right? Or it should be like something where you have both one base and we are like equal. I'm going to take the flag to try to get like more points. That's it. So it should only like be those three scenarios. Right now the scenario is that if you have two bases, it's pretty much GG's. Like if you can defend the two bases, you're winning like very quickly, and it doesn't really matter to have the flag or not. And there is also some games where you only have like one base and the other team has one base, and the flag is more central to be able to change bases or to gain by points. But that doesn't happen that often. I think people are not realizing that two bases is super important and people play for bases, which is also turning it into another meta. But I do feel like the flag should be still important, and I think making it act as a comeback mechanic is a great thing. I think Gilneas is an issue map for me because Alliance and Horde, the sides are not equal. Alliance side is way better than the Horde side because Horde side needs to traverse water to come to Watermill, which is obviously slowing down progress, and Alliance side doesn't need to do so. Now Horde has the option to also go to Lighthouse, but it becomes very, very clear that people are going to go for Lighthouse instead of Waterworks. So it's very easy to rotate your team towards Lighthouse to defend Lighthouse as an alliance. So I do feel like the mechanics are kind of skewed towards alliance, and that kind of makes for a bad map in competitive, where if you know that a certain side has more win rate, my assumption would be 65% because that's how my win rate is compared to Horde side. I think it's too gigantic. Obviously, you can still win because of your comp. If you have a rogue, if you don't have a rogue, if you have a feral druid or you don't have a feral druid, if you have like two mistweaver monks versus like two priests, you already know you have a better time, for example. But obviously, I would say if they are equal teams, the teams are equally good, and you have equally a good comp, obviously Alliance side is more skewed to win than Horde. And that's a problem. I don't know if they can fix that. I don't know if they could say, look, we open only two nodes, and the third node is just like a flag. So it becomes a flag, and you can have to fight for a flag and to cap it to get more points. And that could be like more of an Eye of the Storm mechanic. But I think it's difficult because they're not going to rework maps specifically for Battleground Blitz. But I think right now we keep it as it is. But I do feel like I don't like Gilneas. Like I despise that map. If I am playing Soloq Rbg, I hope I don't get that map because I don't really get a good feeling playing it. Because I hope I am Alliance side instead of a Horde side, which is not a good feeling to have in a competitive game, in my opinion. Now we have two other maps, which is Silver Shard Mines and Temple of Kotmugu. Silver Shard Mines, I don't have much to say. It's difficult. I think it has nothing to do with the map. it has to do with the comps and how people play. Some people are not that smart, unfortunately, or they're not that bright, or they don't know how the mechanics work, or they don't know how important some nodes are compared to each other. It is what it is. I don't think you can change anything towards a silver sharp mines. Maybe put like some power ups nodes to make the mechanic a bit more like stronger towards like resetting CDs, for example. But it could be also a double-edged sword where people are going to dominate the map is going to dominate even more. So I don't know. And Temple of Kodmugu, I don't really like the map, but also like the map because it's very much a deathmatch, pretty much in my eyes. You gotta go for the orbs. Some people do and some people don't. Obviously, if you're a rogue or a mage or a retribution paladin, even it's not cool to get orb because you're getting locked out of a lot of abilities. For example, retribution paladin not be able to do a divine shield or a bop. A mage not being able to block, a rogue if he has like I think the PvP talent he cannot cloak, for example, because it becomes like a sort of an immunity, or it has been nerfed because now it only removes bleeds and it's not an immunity. I don't know, but I think not being able to stuff is also a big deal for rogues, anyways, and especially for assassination and outlaw rogue, where they don't even have shadowlands anymore. They have only like double vanish, so that not working is also quite big. So I think the map itself is not that bad. I just think that obviously some classes have a better time on other maps than on this one. So it is what it is. So those are my opinions on the maps. Please let me know what your opinions are on the maps as well. I think Soloq Rbg can be a huge success, but I do feel like it needs a lot of work. Also, another negative, excuse me, the gains on conquest is so low whenever you're doing Soloq Rbg. Please do it a ×2 gains. It can be that if you're chain winning Soloq Rbgs, you only get 60 conquest. 60 conquest for 12 minutes is abysmal. You could like easily do 3 2v2s and get like the triple or quadruple of that. So it's like really low amounts, and even for a first win it is also quite low. In comparison, in team RBGs, if you're winning a Soloq RBG or like a team RBG for 10v10, you do gain 200 conquest and a lot of honor. And people were doing like 10v10s to be able to cap the vault, but now the vault is gone. So what you want is actually capping conquest. So please make it happen. Make that you get more conquest from Battleground Blitz, which is Soloq Rbg, and also up the gains of conquest from casual gamers, so you could actually gear up very reliably through the favorite game modes you have in the game. I think 2v2 is still probably the best grind you can do to gain conquest. 3v3 as well if you do win very quickly and do very quick like win very often. And social and Soloq RBG is like very abysmal in like pure conquest grind, so they need to up it, but we'll have to see. Again, thank you for watching this video. Really appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet, and we will catch each other probably very soon in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.